The story of human civilization begins not with stone monuments or written laws, but with survival itself. Picture a small band of hunters and gatherers, thousands of years ago, facing the vast wilderness with nothing but sharpened stones and raw courage. They had no idea that their footsteps in the mud were the very first traces of a journey that would reshape the world. Fire became their shield, language their bond, and curiosity their greatest weapon. The moment humans learned to control fire, they unlocked more than warmth, they unlocked time itself. They could cook, stay awake longer, share stories, and pass down knowledge. This was not just survival, it was the spark of civilization. Then came agriculture, the quiet revolution. People stopped wandering and began planting seeds. Villages grew where rivers flowed, and suddenly the land itself became a partner. With farms came food, with food came trade, and with trade came the first whispers of wealth and power. Mud huts turned into temples, and simple leaders became kings. In Mesopotamia, the first cities rose from clay. In Egypt, pyramids pierced the sky, daring to reach eternity. These civilizations were more than monuments. They were proof that humans could bend nature to their will. But with progress came ambition, and ambition often bled into war. From Greece came philosophy and democracy, the idea that knowledge belonged to more than kings. From Rome came laws, armies, and the dream of an empire that would never die. Yet every empire eventually faces the same truth: power is fragile. Rome crumbled, leaving Europe in shadows. But the ember of knowledge survived in libraries and whispered prayers. Out of this darkness, the Renaissance was born, fueled by curiosity and the rediscovery of ancient wisdom. Humanity painted, sculpted, and questioned the universe itself, daring to believe that man was not just a servant of fate, but a master of it. The modern age exploded with invention. Gunpowder changed wars, printing presses spread ideas, and ships carried explorers to the edges of the earth. Civilizations collided, sometimes with wonder, often with blood. The world became smaller, but the dreams of humans grew larger. Revolutions shattered kings and gave voice to common people. Machines roared, factories rose, and cities swallowed the horizon. Humanity had moved from caves to skyscrapers in what felt like the blink of an eye. And now, we live in the digital age, where knowledge travels faster than thought and connections stretch across continents in seconds. Yet the same question that haunted the first humans still lingers today: what will we leave behind? Civilizations are not just built on stone or steel, they are written in memory, in ideas, in stories told by firelight or glowing screens. Humanity's history is not finished. It is still being written by you, by me, by every single person alive. The entire journey from ancient to modern is not just a story of empires rising and falling. It is the story of us forever chasing the horizon. Civilizations do not vanish in silence, they collapse with echoes that shape the future. After the rise of ancient empires, humanity entered an age where kingdoms clashed. Faiths spread, and entire continents were reshaped. The Middle Ages carried the scars of Rome's fall, a time often painted as dark, yet filled with hidden brilliance. Castles rose against stormy skies, knights swore oaths on blood-stained fields, and faith guided millions through fear and hope. But even in the quiet corners of Europe, farmers, craftsmen, and monks were keeping alive the knowledge that one day would ignite a new dawn. Beyond Europe, powerful civilizations thrived. Islamic scholars preserved science, Indian mathematicians crafted numbers, and Chinese inventors created paper and gunpowder. While one part of the world struggled, another flourished, reminding us that human progress never truly stops. The clash of civilizations became louder with the age of exploration. Sailors dared to cross oceans that seemed endless, driven by greed, faith, and ambition. The discovery of new lands was not a simple tale of wonder. It was a storm of conquest, colonization, and tragedy. Ancient cultures of the Americas faced devastation. Their temples burned, their people enslaved. Yet even in loss, their heritage endured, whispered through stone ruins and surviving traditions. Trade routes linked the East and West, carrying not only goods but also ideas, diseases, and revolutions. Humanity had bound itself together, for better or worse. Then came the Renaissance in Europe. a thunderclap of creativity and rebellion against silence. Painters painted the soul, scientists studied the stars, and philosophers dared to question the world. Knowledge became power, and power shifted. Soon, revolution shook kingdoms to their core. The American Revolution shouted for freedom, the French Revolution demanded equality, and everywhere, people began to see themselves not as subjects but as citizens. The blood of change stained the earth, but it planted seeds for the world we know today. The Industrial Revolution roared like a beast. Steam engines screamed, machines devoured coal, and factories became the temples of progress. For the first time, ordinary people could build extraordinary things. Cities swelled, railroads cut across continents, and electricity turned night into day. But with progress came suffering, child labor, poverty, and polluted skies. Humanity had traded one struggle for another, yet the dream of advancement never dimmed. Wars grew deadlier, empires hungered for more land, and the balance of power teetered on the edge of disaster. And then, the 20th century arrived, changing civilization forever. 2 world wars tore the earth apart, leaving behind rubble and grief, but also determination to rebuild stronger. Nuclear power showed humanity could harness the energy of stars, or destroy itself in an instant. The Cold War froze nations in fear, yet from that same struggle came rockets that touched the moon. Technology leapt forward, medicine conquered diseases, and voices long silenced demanded justice. Civil rights, independence movements, and social revolutions proved that progress was not just about machines. It was about humanity finding its voice. The modern world is a paradox. We live with comforts kings of old could never imagine, yet the same human heart still aches for meaning. Civilizations rise, fall, and rise again, but what remains constant is the desire to endure, to create, and to be remembered. The history of humanity is not finished, it beats in the present, waiting for the next great chapter to unfold. The modern era is not defined only by machines, skyscrapers, or the glow of screens. It is defined by the choices humanity makes while standing at the edge of its greatest power. After the devastation of 2 world wars, nations began to rebuild not just their cities, but also their hopes. The creation of international alliances and the United Nations was an attempt to ensure peace, yet the shadow of nuclear weapons lingered like a constant threat. The Cold War turned the world into a chessboard where superpowers moved their pawns across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Civilizations no longer fought with swords and shields, they fought with ideology, propaganda, and technology. For the first time in history, destruction could come not from armies marching, but from the push of a single button. Humanity stood on a knife's edge, both terrified and unstoppable. Yet even in the midst of fear, progress surged. The space race carried civilization beyond the Earth, turning the night sky into a battlefield of ambition. When humanity landed on the moon, it was not just a victory for one nation. It was proof that the human spirit could break barriers that once seemed eternal. The same technology that created bombs also built satellites, connected continents, and gave people visions of the world as a single fragile home. It was a reminder that civilizations are strongest not when they fight, but when they unite. The second half of the 20th century witnessed revolutions of a different kind. The fight for civil rights, women's equality, and freedom from colonial rule shook the foundations of power. Once silenced voices demanded to be heard, and their struggles reshaped nations. In Africa and Asia, empires that had lasted for centuries dissolved almost overnight, giving birth to independent nations with dreams of their own. The global order shifted, and with it, the definition of civilization itself expanded. It was no longer just about monuments and empires, but about human dignity and shared rights. Then came the digital revolution, an invisible storm more powerful than any empire's army. Computers shrank from giant machines to personal devices, and the internet turned information into a weapon and a gift. Knowledge no longer belonged to kings or libraries. It flowed freely across wires and screens. Civilizations that once rose and fell slowly could now change in years, even months. Entire industries collapsed while new ones were born in an instant. The line between reality and digital life blurred, and humanity found itself living in two worlds at once. But progress is never without shadows. The same technology that connected billions also divided them. Wars became cyber wars, secrets turned into data, and privacy dissolved into code. Civilization, once measured in stone and steel, became measured in algorithms and networks. Yet within this chaos, a truth remained: humans, no matter how advanced, still seek meaning, belonging, and survival. Whether in the fires of ancient forges or the glow of digital screens, civilization is still about the same fragile heartbeat: the will to endure. Now we live in an age where artificial intelligence can think, genetic science can rewrite life, and space exploration promises colonies beyond Earth. For the first time, civilization is not bound to a single planet. The same curiosity that once lit a fire in a cave now looks to the stars and asks, what is next? The journey from ancient hunters to modern dreamers is not over. It has only reached another threshold. The question remains, will humanity write its future with wisdom, or repeat the same mistakes carved across centuries of rise and fall? The story of civilization has always been about survival, but now it is about something more: transcendence. Civilization has always been a mirror, reflecting both humanity's brilliance and its darkest flaws. As we step deeper into the modern age, the lines between progress and destruction blur even more. Technology has given us power over nature, but it has also chained us to consequences we cannot escape. Climate change, born from centuries of industry and greed, now threatens the very foundations of our survival. Forests vanish, oceans rise, and storms grow stronger, while billions of people struggle for resources that once seemed endless. For the first time, humanity is forced to ask not just how to build civilizations, but how to preserve them from collapse. The empires of the past crumbled under war or famine. Today's civilization could fall under its own weight. Yet even as the planet trembles, human ambition soars higher. Scientists map the human genome, unlocking the secrets of life itself. Medicine conquers plagues that once killed millions, extending lives beyond what ancient rulers ever dreamed. Artificial intelligence now learns, adapts, and creates in ways that blur the definition of human uniqueness. Some see salvation in machines, others see doom. But either way, the world has already changed forever. The tools of tomorrow are no longer built with stone or steel but with data, algorithms, and code. Civilization has entered a new battlefield, the digital realm, where wars are fought not with armies but with information, surveillance, and control. The 21st century is also the age of voices. For centuries, history was written by kings, generals, and conquerors. Now, billions of people share their stories in real time. A single protest can ignite revolutions, a single video can expose corruption, and a single message can unite or divide nations. Civilizations no longer rise and fall in silence. They rise and fall under the gaze of the entire world. Power has shifted from thrones and palaces to networks and screens, where public opinion can topple leaders faster than any army. And still, humanity looks beyond Earth. Space, once unreachable, has become the next frontier. Colonies on the moon, missions to Mars, and telescopes that peer into the birth of galaxies all prove that our story will not end here. Civilizations that once clashed over rivers and fields now compete for worlds beyond the stars. The same hunger that drove the first explorers across seas now drives humanity into the cosmos. But history whispers a warning: every empire that expanded without caution eventually collapsed. Will humanity's next empire among the stars be different? Or will it carry the same scars of greed, war, and ambition? The truth of civilization is this: it is fragile, yet unstoppable. From the ashes of ruins, new cities always rise. From the silence of collapsed empires, new voices always speak. What began with fire in a cave has become a fire that lights entire planets, and still, the story is unfinished. Civilization is not one empire, not one age, not one people. It is the endless journey of all who came before us and all who will come after. Each step forward carries the memory of every triumph and every tragedy. And as humanity stands at the edge of tomorrow, the question is not whether civilizations will rise and fall again, but whether we will finally learn from the ghosts of our past. The story of human civilization is not a straight path. It is a circle of rise, fall, and rebirth. Every monument that crumbled, every empire that burned, every invention that changed the world has carried us here, to this moment. From the first spark of fire in a cave to the glow of cities that can be seen from space, humanity has proven one truth again and again: survival is not enough. We are driven to create, to imagine, to build something greater than ourselves, even if it means risking destruction along the way. But the final chapter is not written in stone. It is unfolding right now. The choices made today will decide whether future generations will live in towering cities that float above the clouds, or in ruins swallowed by silence. Will artificial intelligence become the ally that carries us into a golden age, or the rival that ends us? Will the quest for resources on other planets unite humanity under a single banner, or tear it apart as nations compete for control of the stars? The history of civilization has always been a struggle between creation and destruction, and that struggle still defines us. Yet hope has always been the heartbeat of our story. After every collapse, humans rebuilt. After every war, they dreamed again. Even in the darkest hours, when empires lay in ruins and the future seemed lost, humanity found a way to rise. That is the essence of civilization. Not the buildings, not the armies, not the rulers, but the spirit that refuses to end. As long as a single voice dares to speak, as long as a single hand dares to build, civilization endures. The journey from ancient to modern is more than a timeline. It is a reminder. Every brick in a wall, every word in a book, every code written into a machine is part of the same vast story. We are the living continuation of every hunter, farmer, scholar, soldier, and dreamer who came before. The past is not behind us, it lives within us, shaping every choice we make. And so, the greatest question remains: what legacy will this civilization leave? Will we be remembered as the species that conquered stars, or the one that destroyed its own world? History has given us the power to decide, but it has also given us a warning. Civilizations rise and fall, but humanity has the chance to write an ending different from all the rest. The future is not waiting. It is already here, and it belongs to those brave enough to shape it. Humanity's story does not close with a final page. It continues, always stretching forward like an endless horizon. What began as whispers around a fire has become a global chorus of billions, each voice part of the same unfolding tale. Civilizations no longer live only in stone ruins or fading scrolls. They now exist in satellites orbiting the Earth, in data centers humming with digital memory, and in dreams of colonies on distant worlds. The past gave us lessons carved in blood and stone, the present gives us choices, and the future waits with silence, daring us to decide what kind of legacy we will leave. The greatest civilizations were never measured only by their armies or monuments, but by the ideas they carried forward. The code of laws from Mesopotamia, the philosophies of Greece, the sciences of the Islamic Golden Age, the spirit of rebirth from the Renaissance, the rights claimed in revolutions, all of them still breathe within us. Today, every step into artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, or space travel is not separate from the past but connected to it. We are not a new civilization. We are every civilization, woven together into one. And perhaps that is humanity's final truth. Civilizations rise and fall, but humanity is the bridge between them. We carry the sparks of those who came before, and we pass them into the hands of those yet to be born. The question is not whether the future will remember us. It will. The question is what story they will tell when they look back. Will they see a species that tore itself apart, or one that finally chose unity over division, wisdom over greed, creation over destruction? The history of human civilization is unfinished. It is still being written. In every discovery, every protest, every invention, every choice. It belongs not only to kings and leaders but to all of us right now. One day, when the ruins of today are studied by the people of tomorrow, they will search for the meaning of our time. What will they find? What will they say? That answer is not hidden in the past. It is waiting in the present, in the decisions we make today. Humanity has always been more than survival. We are dreamers, builders, seekers. We are civilization itself. And the greatest chapter is still ahead. Civilization has always been a fragile flame, flickering against the winds of time, yet never extinguished. What began with stone tools and whispered stories has grown into a network of cities, nations, and digital realms that stretch across the globe. Still, humanity stands at a crossroads more dangerous and more promising than any before. The challenges of today are unlike the battles of ancient kings. They are global, shared by every living soul. Climate change, pandemics, and technological disruption do not respect borders, and neither will their solutions. For the first time in history, survival depends not on the strength of a single empire, but on the cooperation of an entire species. And yet, civilization has always thrived under pressure. From the ashes of ruins, humans have rebuilt. From the silence of dark ages, light has returned. Every collapse has been a teacher, every triumph a guide. The question now is whether humanity has learned enough to carry itself into an age beyond empires, beyond wars, beyond the mistakes of the past. If civilizations rise and fall like waves, then perhaps this is the moment to shape the tide itself. New frontiers are calling. Artificial intelligence promises to reshape what it means to think, while space exploration invites us to extend life beyond Earth. The same spirit that drove the first wanderers across rivers and mountains now pushes us toward planets and stars. History shows us that every leap forward carried risks, but also unimaginable rewards. This leap, into a future both digital and interstellar, will define whether civilization becomes eternal or fades into memory. The story of human civilization is not just about the past, nor only about the present. It is about a chain unbroken, a fire carried across generations, waiting for the next hand to take it forward. That fire now belongs to us. The legacy we leave will not be measured only in monuments or machines, but in whether we dared to use our power wisely. The past has shown us what we are capable of. The future will reveal who we truly are. The history of human civilization is not a closed book. It is a living story, breathing through every choice we make today. For centuries, humans believed the limits of civilization were carved by the land, the oceans, the sky. But now, those limits are gone. The stars are no longer unreachable. Machines no longer serve only as tools. They learn, they adapt, they create. Medicine no longer just heals. It rewrites life itself. We have in our hands the power of gods, and with it the risk of ruin or rebirth. The question is no longer whether civilizations will fall. They always do. The question is whether humanity can create something greater than civilization, a legacy that cannot be broken. Imagine what the people of the distant future will say when they look back at this moment. The journey of human civilization has never been about monuments, empires, or even power. It has always been about the flame, the fire that passed from one generation to the next, carried across wars, plagues, and triumphs. That fire now burns brighter than ever, and it belongs to us. What we do with it will decide not just the next chapter, but the future of all who come after. Civilizations rise, civilizations fall, but humanity endures, and its greatest chapter has yet to be written.